Hi. Hopefully this helps to get some information out. I'm sorry it takes me so long to get this done, but I was very fortunate to attend the last day of the first week of the Nevada Bundy trials with my dad even. I took a few notes, but found it really difficult to do so after my newspaper was confiscated by the court uniform bullies who are supposedly our public employees, right? Ha, they're the bullies. I was using it as a hard surface to write on, as I only had 2 pieces of paper to work with, and that made it really difficult to write. I really detest bullies in uniforms, my goodness. They're obnoxious and oblivious to the fact that they are our servants. They behave like the bosses. Without the aid or benefit of recording the scene, these are my notes from my point of view. Todd was speaking when we entered the courtroom. I was wishing we'd have gotten there a little sooner, but that's what it was. And he said that he spoke about hundreds of snipers that were within view with binoculars, with rifles pointed directly at the protesters in the wash. He was ordered to back away from the highway by the BLM. So he backed up, I think he said 10 miles, and found a highway patrolman. He flagged down and begged for help to protect the people in the protest from the bloodbath that the BLM was about to begin. The officers did assist and called for backup for further assistance, and soon it had de-escalated as the sheriff showed up and told him to stand down. Todd spoke of the festive feeling that the protesters gravitated toward as the tensions were assumed to have been dissolved. But even though Dan Love, the commanding land management agent, ordered his gang of snipers to stand down and cease, but they all disobeyed his command. Makes me wonder if this response was pre-planned, so to absolve himself of the mischief and put blame on his militant minions. Even after it was thought to be over, the Bureau of Land Management, better known of late to the patriot-minded public as bullies, liars, and minions, had not yet left. They were waiting around a bit farther out of sight for the cows to be released in full tactical combat readiness gear and stance, much to the surprise of both the protesters and the local law enforcement officers. Todd said he went to the protest to protect both his own civil rights as well as yours, speaking directly to the jury. Then Gregg Burlison's attorney, I think his name was Mr. Jackson, opened with similar sentiments. There was no nexus, no prior knowledge of the Bundys, never having been to Bunkerville, nor have any of the other defendants there. No evidence of pointing guns at anyone. No motive, no knowledge of the 20-year plus Bundy battle with the BLM. Gregg rightfully and lawfully carried and was only ever seen in low, ready position. Gregg, like so many others, was incensed at the sight of Facebook posts of free speech zones corralled in the desert with the orange temporary fencing, the slamming of a grandmother to the ground for questioning the BLM's intentions of coming to a cattle roundup with a dump truck. What's up with that, right? And then there was the man with the iPad recording the protest who was being bullied and beaten and terrorized because his children were right there watching that confrontation take place. Gregg Burlison's photo of him holding his gun was used by the mainstream media to create a story. Let that sink in. They created a story to garner gross error in the minds of the public. The facts were quite different. Shame again on the fake news for being complicit in criminalizing of an American with a conscience that compelled him to come to the aid of a complete stranger being bullied by an executive agency acting outside its lawful confines. The BLM created further fraud as its agents wrote up reports of fear of death, despite the fact that they themselves were behaving badly, bullying with full tactical gear, snipers, and the threat of force in their capacity as land management agents. They were SWAT team to put down the protest. It was a tense situation, yes, but not one shot was fired. No one was hurt. The defendants were not arrested at the scene of the so-called crime, even by the highway patrolmen who actually helped the protesters to de-escalate tensions. Only the highway patrolmen would have had authority to arrest, and they did not. So then Todd, I believe that's his name, was the attorney for Drexler. Again, no nexus, no evidence that would tie Drexler to a militia. Again, their consciences were shocked by the scenes posted on social media. Michael Lynch was also mentioned by Mr. Mendel as an alternative media man, and Alex Ellis, I'm not sure I got that name right, will testify to the same. Sheriff Doug Gillespie announced that the BLM is closing Operation Gold Butte, after which Clive Bundy shouted, "For safety's sake, close the highway." Michael Lynch was there and filmed as he courageously stepped out. Some of you may have seen that clip. He stepped out of the crowd and approached the BLM, who were in militant gear and stance. And Michael was shouting, "Are you really going to shoot these people?" over and over as he inched closer and closer to them. Drexler has no criminal history. He's a 45-year-old. His father was a sheriff. His sister currently works at the sheriff's office. These are people who are being terrorized by the BLM, by the court system, by the state of Nevada, for even having been held for a non-crime. Anyway, that's the end of my notes. I just wanted to quickly share that with you. I hope that's been helpful. I will post also the printed version so that you won't have to. Thanks.